Hello everyone and welcome to a quick little overview slash review slash look at the Codex Supplement Ultramarines, just released by Games Workshop as of Saturday just gone. If you plan to run Ultramarines with the new Codex, you need this supplement as it has all their unique characters, along with some unique stratagems, a psychic tree, and some unique units, not just the characters themselves like Marneus and Guilliman, etc. If you're running your own made up Space Marine chapter, then you just need the base Codex. The White Scars have a supplement out as well, and there's more to come. I think Salamanders is amongst the next ones because they kind of accidentally revealed that. So we're going to take a look at this. Just a quick look. I've made a little list of some noticeable changes from just the Ultramarine units in the previous Codex. So we'll take a look at that and discuss. So what are you getting for your money? Well, you are getting a hardback, pretty thin book. It's exactly 80 pages long. It has 62 pages of lore and model shots. It also has a Ultramarines name generator right at the back, which is kind of wasting a page as well. So really you're only getting, let's see, like almost exactly that in terms of rules pages, like that. There's no reason the rules part couldn't be offered as a free PDF, honestly. I don't mind the lore to Warhammer 40k. The Ultramarines are the army that got me started in it back in 2nd edition, I think it was, or 3rd edition. But there's only so many times I can read about this is each individual branch of the Ultramarines, here's what their iconography looks like, here's like the stuff that's leading up to Vigilus and the Vigilus itself. There's only so many times I can read that and pretend to be interested in the same lore again. Now there's nothing wrong with that for those who want it, or again this could be someone's introduction to the Ultramarines, so it matters to them, so this is going through other companies and the iconography as I said. But offering the rules part as a free compendium for the Space Marine Codex, which you do still need to buy, it would have been, it would seem less like you're getting kind of ripped off a little bit. But again, if you're into your lore, it's updated. The updated backstory for Marneus and Tigerius, however you pronounce his name, now that they're a Primaris scale as well, that's all in there. And it goes on like this for quite some time. We're not going to stop and look at all of it because that's not what we're here for. You can go look at it for yourself, and then of course we have the model shots that I mentioned, and then after that we get into the 16 or so pages of actual important, it's coming, hold on, actual important rules. So apologies about the reflective light, but I'm not really trying to show off every single page, I'm just having a general gist of what we're talking about. The first unit listed in the Ultramarine supplement is Roboute Guilliman. He is down to 340 points, 350 points, hang on, he's down to 350, and that is a 50 point reduction. Now if you're about to say to me, no actually that's a 10 point reduction, yes, in the previous Space Marine Codex he was 360 points, however the first effort to rebalance him was in Chapter Approved 2018 where he was upped to 400 points. That was to try and counteract just how effective his aura is. They've gone back, they've given him a slight discount over his original price, and they've nerfed the Primarch rule that made him so good. It still allows Ultramarines within 6 inches of him to reroll it's all failed hits, but it is only rolls of 1 on wounds, so it's not all wounds, which was ridiculously powerful. Other than that though, he's basically the same. He has the Angels of Death rule, which is like, it's a combination of 4 different rules. The new tactical doctrines, bolter discipline, the charge one where you get an extra attack on charges now, and they shall know no fear, which is just reroll failed morale. So I don't think there's any unit that doesn't have Angels of Death, either in this supplement or the Codex. So that's just his addition, so it applies to him. Other than that, his Author of the Codex is the same. Masters of Battle, which is the Imperium buff in 12 inches, not just Ultramarines, that's still the same if you want to bring him as a super heavy auxiliary. His stat line is the same, I believe. I will say that the way they've reworded the 13th Primarch rule, you can't quite see because of the reflection, I apologise. In the other edition, it's just 1 sentence. They've made it overly verbose to the point where you could sit and have an argument about whether the phrase units, whilst units are within 6, applies to a model from the unit or the entirety of the unit. I don't want to deal with that, so I'll leave that for other people to argue, but I do feel like it could have been worded less ambiguously. So then we have Marneus Calgar. This is just his stat line from his Primaris version, so if you bought the box that comes with the Primaris version of him and the Victrix Honor Guard, which are listed below, these are essentially the same stat lines, 200 points. Basically you can get Calgar and Tigurius almost for the same price as Guilliman. I think that comes to 330, so kind of close. So his rolls are the same if you've seen his updated rolls. For his Primaris, he's got an extra wound, an extra attack I believe, and other than that he's got the armour of the Heracles, that's how you pronounce it. Victrix Honor Guard, they're there for ablative wounds. You don't need to take them with Calgar, but if you do, they don't take up a slot. They have Ultima Storm Shields, which are just Storm Shields. I don't know why they bothered naming them something different. So they're more or less the same. Now, as the release of this supplement, it came with a updated Primaris scale Chief Librarian Tigurius. He has changed. Let me just check my notes. It's 130 points, he's gained an extra wound, he's gained an extra attack. The AP on his rod is -3 instead of -1. Still does D3 damage on the Rod of Tigurius. He knows, well, Smite and 2 Psychic powers, either from the Psychic Discipline that's in this book, or the ones that are in the Codex Space Marines. So down below him we have Chaplain Cassius, the Tyrannic War Veteran Chaplain. He is basically just the bog stat line Chaplain, but he also has the new thing that Chaplains have, which are litanies. All Chaplains have Litany of Hate by default, and then they can pick another one, although he actually gets 2 from the list that's in Codex Space Marines. It's a buff, they do different things. On a 3+, they inspire. If you don't get a 3+, roll 2 or a 1, they don't work. I think Cassius can try 2 a turn. Let's see here. He knows 2, plus the Litany of Hate that they all know by default. Yeah, he can recite 2. I believe a normal Chaplain can only recite 1 attempt per turn. You've got to be careful with the wording on the new litanies as well, because some of them are very specifically models in a unit, where some of them affect in a bubble, some of them affect a unit. So you've got to be a bit careful with that. Over here we have Captain Sicarius, who's kind of been forgotten about, more or less. He has returned. His stat line is basically identical. In fact, I don't think there's any changes from the stat line he had in the most recent Codex. Sergeant Tillian has changed slightly. His Quietus rifle is AP -2 instead of AP -1. Other than that, he still gives scouts, sniper scouts, his experience. He has concealed positions, which is just the new wording for infiltrate, essentially. Still has a camel cloak, and that's about it. Sergeant Kronos, it's basically the same again. It specifically lists the vehicles he can go in. He can't go in the Primaris vehicles, which I think was already by default, but I might be wrong because I've never used Sergeant Kronos. So you can go inside Predators, Whirlwinds, Land Raiders, etc, etc, but can't go in the Primaris stuff. So then we have some units that are now Ultramarine specific, which people might be annoyed about. Chapter Ancients, Chapter Champions, and Honor Guards. Tyrannic War Veterans, I mean that's a given for Ultramarines because they fought the big war against them. So the Chapter Champion is base +1 attack more now, so he's up to 5. And he basically has 3 entirely new rolls. Skillful Parry, which is -1 to the enemy attacking him in combat. Martial Superiority, which is you can fight in the fight phase even if he did not charge. If he's within distance of a character, he fights first, basically. And Superlative Duelist, when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by this model against a character, you can reroll hits and you can reroll wounds. So it just makes him a much better duelist, essentially, the Chapter Champion. Still got a 2+ save, still hitting on 2s unless he's using a different weapon. It's also worth pointing out in the base Space Marine Codex that we're not looking at here, if you want Thunder Hammers on characters now, they cost 40 points, as opposed to, what is it, 12, 13? If you just have them on a normal dude. I think they're trying to make you pay for your Smash Captains, essentially. Oops, hit the camera a little bit there. Honor Guard are basically the same as they used to be as far as I can tell. 2 wounds, 2 attacks, 2+ save in their Artificer armor. They're the Honor Guard, they can take wounds for characters, essentially. And the Tyrannic War Veterans still do well against Tyranids. They can, when resolving an attack made by this model against a Tyranid unit, you can reroll the hit and you can reroll the wound. So if you're very specifically tailoring your list for fighting Tyranids, Tyrannic War Veterans, they do pretty well. So after that we have Courage and Honour, which is the Ultramarine specific abilities. I will point out, the Ultramarines chapter tactics are not listed in this supplement. As far as I can tell, it's only listed in Space Marine Codex, which you need to work with this obviously, but it's a little weird it's not even mentioned. It's still you can fall back and shoot with a -1 if you want to, and it applies to everything now, including vehicles. So Signs of Guilliman, while the tactical doctrine is in effect, which is a new thing that all Space Marines have, models with this ability, which is literally everybody, I think, that moved in your movement phase but didn't advance or fall back, and make attacks with ranged weapons, can do so as if they remain stationary. So it doesn't even just need to be rapid fire, that counts heavy as well, which is interesting. Then there's stuff about successor chapters. I'm not going to bother going over those because I'm not a successor chapter kind of person, but if you're an Ultramarine successor chapter, it does tailor this, and when we get to the chapter relics for you as well. Then it's the Warlord traits. You can take Warlord traits straight out of the Space Marine Codex if you want, as long as you're not using a named character, which is listed down here, like Cassius, Carius, Tigurius, Calgar, Guilliman, Tillian. They all have set Warlord traits. I will say that I don't like Guilliman's new one at all, which is Nobility Made Manifest. But there's Adept of the Codex. While your Warlord's on, that's the command point recycler one. Master of Strategy, once per battle. If your Warlord's on the field, pick a Ultramarines unit within 6. And it's considered for that unit only that the tactical doctrine is active, even if it isn't for the army. Cam Under Fire, you pick a unit that falls back from combat and they don't get the -1 penalty, which is pretty good. Paragon of War, when resolving an attack made by your Warlord, unmodified wound rolls of 6 inflict 1 mortal wound in addition to any other damage. Nobility Made Manifest, friendly Ultramarines, infantry and bikers can perform heroic intervention as if they were a character, if they're within 6 of the Warlord. And Warden of Macragge, the Warlord can perform a heroic intervention if there's an enemy unit within 6 of them instead of 3. That's not that interesting. Who is it that gets that one by default? Cassius. I guess that kind of makes sense. So over here is a bit weird. There's 2 different sets of chapter relics. One's called Relics of Macragge, the other one's called Special Issue Wargear. If you're using a successor chapter, you automatically get access to just Special Issue Wargear. You have to spend a command point to get access to a relic of Macragge. So these are the bits of special wargear you can pick from. I will say that the chapter relics available in the Space Marine Codex are still available to you as well, and the same ones are kind of like there, like the Teeth of Terra, the Banner of the Ancient Ascendant, Emperor Ascendant, whatever it's called, although it's been nerfed. Well, no, it's not been nerfed, it's been rebalanced. It doesn't give you the +1 to the roll to see if a Space Marine fights again if it dies in the radius it affects, but the radius it affects has gone up by 3 inches. So it's still good, just in a different way. So as far as these relics go, I haven't had much time to peer over these. There's a special knife or sword. There's a halo that gives you 3+ invulnerable, and you can try and fight a psychic power with a Deny the Witch as if you were a psyker. There's their own version of the standard, which is for morale. There is Armour of Connor, which is for Terminators. There's the Helm of Censor, which is... Ooh, what is this for? Adding 1 to the hit roll when fighting either Adeptus Astartes or Heretical Astartes. So if you're fighting another Space Marine unit or Chaos, that gives you +1 to hits. Oh, and wounds as well. Vengeance of Ultramar, it's a special Stormbolter with Rapid Fire 4, Strength 4, and if you're targeting a vehicle, anything other than a vehicle, apologies, you can reroll the wounds. So, and it's obviously Bolter Discipline as well, so you can double that up if you meet one of the criteria. And then Torrentian Cloak is a special camel cloak. 5+ invul, starting movement phase, you regain D3 wounds. Although it doesn't specifically say it's a special camel cloak, so anybody can take it, not just like a Phobos armor. Then the Special Issue Wargear, this is more generic stuff that I'm not really going to go super into because there used to be like stratagems and stuff as well. Adamantine Mantle, Artificer Armor, Mastercrafted Weapon, Digital Weapons, Seal of Oath, Reliquary of Vengeance, Hellfire Bolts, and Sunwrath Pistol. So, again, if you're a successor chapter, that's the list you get for free. You have to pay to get access to this list. So next in the book is the Ultramarines specific stratagems. I'm not going to go through every single one, however I have earmarked 3 of them that I think are very interesting. The first one is Avenge the Fallen for 1 command point. Use it when a unit has been destroyed as a result of an attack made by an enemy unit. Until the end of the battle, when resolving an attack made by an Ultramarines model from your army against that enemy unit, you reroll hits of 1, so you don't need to have the characters nearby to give you that power. all the army gets it against the unit that killed a unit, which sounds pretty interesting to me. Then we have fallback and re-engage. It's a 1 cost or a 2 cost if you don't have the chapter tactics. Basically, a unit that's fallen back from the Ultramarines chapter. Let's see, the hit roll penalty doesn't apply because you fell back. Shooting does not apply. I think that makes you charge as well, does it? No, that may be the next one I have marked. Unit from your army falls back. That unit can shoot. Yeah, that unit can shoot and charge, and it doesn't get the minus. So you fall back from combat, you shoot at them without the minus, you can charge them again, and that gets the Angels of Death attack bonus on top of that again because you recharged, so you're all +1 attack as well. And if the assault doctrine is in effect, your melee weapons are AP -1 above what they normally are. So that is very good. The other one I earmarked was Defensive Focus. That's a 2 command point cost. Use the stratagem after an Ultramarine unit from your army is chosen as the target of a charge. Select up to 3 other friendly Ultramarine units that are more than 1 inch away from the enemy but 6 inches within the targeted unit. They get to shoot Overwatch. It's basically the Tau rule for Ultramarines, which is pretty awesome. You're still hitting on 6s, but it means if you're doing kind of like a tanky castle strategy, you can make use of Defensive Focus to try and gun down a turn 1 charge. So it seemed pretty good to me. So to finish off this look at this, the supplement for the Ultramarines is the Indomitus Discipline. I'm not that big on psychic powers for Space Marines, honestly, but what I will point out is they have one called Scryer's Gaze, which used to be the name of one from the Phobos tree, which is in Codex Space Marines. They've now renamed it, because this is Scryer's Gaze. I don't remember what they've renamed it to offhand, and I don't have the Codex handy, it's upstairs, but for whatever reason now, Ultramarines get Scryer's Gaze, but it does something different. This one is a warp charge of 7, choose to immediately gain 1 command point. If you choose not to do that, sorry, so it's just gain a command point, where if you choose not to do that, then once this turn when resolving an attack made by a model from a friendly Ultramarines unit whilst within 18 of your Psyker, you can reroll 1 hit, 1 wound and 1 damage. So it's either gain a command point, or you get the 1 reroll 1 hits, wounds, damage, which is also pretty good. Why they took this name, I guess because it's more fitting, because Tigurus is all about kind of like prescience, to use the old Psychic Discipline name, so Scryer's Gaze fits that much better, along with Precognition. Telepathic Assault is just, it sounds pretty good, it's a good, better smite, kind of. Yeah, it's pretty good. Then there's Ultramarine specific tactical objectives. I never use tactical objectives, so I couldn't tell you whether they're particularly good or not. And then you turn the page, and you get your Ultramarines name generator, which you could probably find online for free, but, you know, they had to get it to smooth 80, I guess. And then just the padding page at the back there. So it's hard to say whether this is worth it or not, because if you collect Ultramarines and want to use them with the new codec, you have to have this. It's not like it's an optional purchase. I guess even if your army is painted like Ultramarines, you could just make them some made-up chapter if you wanted. The Codex Space Marines comes with the things you need to make traits for them and whatnot. I like the changes. There has been some other additional actually I forgot to show that, but there has been some other additional point subtractions. I'm not sure about the Ultramarine characters specifically, I didn't notice any, but within the Space Marine Codec itself, there has been some point drops, some rebalances, like Inceptors have an extra wound, Centurions have an extra wound, some neat stuff. And just in general, not Ultramarine specific, but the new Angels of Death rules for Space Marines are just super powerful. I hear a dog barking outside, and I hear my dog ready to run downstairs and bark at them. So we're going to call this good here. I hope you enjoyed this little look at the Codex Supplement for Ultramarines. The next battle report will be Ultramarines focus. We'll see how they fare, try out some of the new command point stratagems, and maybe the new Psychic Discipline, we'll see. If you want to see a little kind of rundown like this, just kind of a very brief rundown of the Codex Space Marines itself, I am willing to do it. Let me know if you want to see that. Thank you for watching this though, and I will see you in the future. Ta-ta for now.